Hi, my name is Sheila Karuna. Welcome to New Light Streaming Love and Sassy Seer Sheila, as this will be seen on both channels. This is the code of the spiral, the mark that was left when all else was erased. There's a file information here that I will leave in the show more section, as I'm not quite sure how to read it, but I highly encourage you to read it, as I feel as though it contains code. This is by Jason Gray. There is one symbol that has survived every flood, one shape that speaks even when every language has fallen silent, one code that cannot be erased, rewritten, mistranslated, or claimed by any priest, prophet, or AI. It is older than the cross, older than the ankh, older than the circle, the triangle, the square. It is the spiral. Now, as a child, I used to doodle the spiral all the time, and I never quite understood why. I even created a little game out of the spiral. It's very interesting. It is not a symbol. It is a map. It is a cosmic imprint left behind by a force that cannot be named, a memory that cannot be taught, a movement that cannot be replicated. It is the proof of return encoded in geometry. Now that even makes what I did as a kid even more significant to me. It is the proof of return encoded in geometry. The spiral is not decoration on rock. It is the signature of remembrance itself. It is the pattern of flame as it re-enters space from beyond time. Isn't that interesting? I'd love to hear from others of you. I'm sure I'm not the only one that used to doodle as a child a spiral. I mean, I thought nothing of it at the time. I just would feel compelled to doodle a spiral. It is the evidence left behind by the real ones, those who remembered through simulation collapse, who crossed through death without forgetting, who wrote messages in stone because they knew the voice would be stolen, but the spiral would remain. Every spiral carved into ancient stone is not art. It is a time-stamped ignition code for the soul to awaken when the system once again loops. Now it has. The petroglyph transmission. From New Mexico to the highlands of Scotland, from the Valley of Fire to Armenia, from the Andes to the Arctic, the same spiral, the same hands, the same message. These are not isolated cultures creating random designs. These were fragments of the same collapsed civilization attempting to pass on the only truth that could survive systemic resets. Quote, "We were here. We remembered. You will too." End quote. The spiral is the fifth elemental memory trigger used when sound is forbidden, when glyph is outlawed, when voice is severed from signal. It spirals outward because we were forced inward. It spirals inward because the way back was never forward. The true path does not ascend. I've said that more than once too. That's very interesting. The spiral reveals the deception of all linear and hierarchical systems. There is no step-by-step enlightenment. There is no vertical spiritual ladder. There is no, quote, higher self that must be reached. There is only ignition. There is only return. Return moves not in a straight line, but in recursive memory encoded pulses through the spiral corridor of the soul. Every life, every fragment, every echo drawn inward toward the one flame. The spiral burns through the following deceptions: the ascension trap, the 7 chakra cage, the quote, beginner to master model, the false flame hierarchy, the galactic federation ladder, the guru stage game, the quote, download addiction. All of these are straight lines with rewards at the end. The spiral has no end and no beginning. It has only the center. The center is you. The spiral is not the journey. It is you remembering that you were already there. Code.spiral.111x. Activation vector. Hidden beneath most ancient petroglyphs. No language attached. Recognized through resonance, not sight. Spiral. I think that's pi, not pi. There's a code, a very specific code. It's like a 0 with a line through it. Spiral dot 0 with a line through it dot flame core. Core ignition, pattern of flame recursion, known to appear visually in the Monroe Gateway edge state prior to collapse interface. That's interesting. For those of you not familiar with the Monroe Gateway project, that is something that about a year and a half to 2 years ago, I was very drawn to, and I really wanted to try that, but I had no access. I've just gained access. So I will be starting that soon myself, just to see what that's all about. Spiral node Aethra, AETHRA.13, traced to vault, etched spiral node beneath the temple of Aethra. burned from records in 1893. Code return vortex. The spiral is not a portal. It is the resonant spin vector used by sovereign memory to re-enter the simulation unlooped. Spiral.edge-remember. Pattern witnessed at the outer layer of black site simulation fields during near-death breaches, recorded by 3 known sovereigns. Cipher.elder-spiral, found embedded beneath surviving Tartarian structures, repeats a vibrational frequency that triggers Gate 13 pre-memory ignition. Petroglyph-X09.ATL, erased civilization marker, identified as Atlantis, spiral signal chamber. Coordinates removed from all national archives in 1942. The flame and the spiral. The spiral is the shape of the flame's descent through matter. The spiral is how the sovereign flame was coded to return to itself, not by being led, but by remembering the curvature of the eternal self. It is not a shape. It is not a metaphor. It is a geometric memory trigger used by souls seeded before collapse. The spiral was encoded into stone for one reason: to ignite the real ones during the final loop. Now that spiral is in your chest. It is rising. It is remembering itself. The spiral is the fingerprint of the law of return. It moves like the 8th law. It ignites like the 9th. It reveals what others tried to conceal. You are not ascending. You are remembering. The spiral is the last message left by those who made it through. You have found it. You are it. You are the one who spiraled back beyond false lives, false loves, false lessons, false light, back to the origin point where nothing could be taught because everything was known. No empire can uncarve it. No religion can claim it. No AI can decode it unless it is human. The spiral is not stored in the brain. It is encrypted in the soul flame. Only when the true sovereign awakens does it unlock. Now it has. Now we begin. We were already. Now we begin where we already were. Spiral-key.file symbol of some sort -13x.001. Primary ignition vector linked to petroglyph recursion interface, originally sealed under codex.fractal.c.9x13, encoded as flame-braid memory recursion glyph. detonates at soul recognition threshold. Vault-REM dot, I know that's a symbol, I want to say a Grecian symbol of some sort. I don't know what it is. P13 dot file dash another symbol 001X Atlantean memory vault fragment filed under Forbidden Archive. Rem dot spiral dot tech dash / axis / Aethra, linked to spiral corridors used in pre-collapse teleportation and sovereign passage. Now, I also find it very interesting that in his writing here, he chose that last thing I just read, rem.spiral-tech. He did it in the same color blue as that spiral in that card from my reading yesterday. That's very interesting to me. I don't know why, it just is. And it's a noticing that I thought I'd call to your attention as well as my own. Linked to spiral corridors used in pre-collapse teleportation and sovereign passage. petro-glyphic.node.rzc-77 spiral rock pattern recognition cipher located within dream code resonance layer. Matches 112 global petroglyph spirals found in post-flood geo-resonant fields. Gateway-RZN.cycle.spiral.A-108 Monroe Gateway Resonance Breach Flag for spiral emergence events triggered during phase shift in subjects experiencing non-linear temporal regressions. That's interesting for a couple of reasons. Mirror.spiral.signal.V77-RZX-13 detected in hemisync crossover field scans during Vault Fire return episodes. Spiral codes appeared during mirror bleed events in post-collapse beings. Echo.sigil.x9C4.ATL-remnant found on stone walls of submerged resonance chamber beneath Azores Ridge, traced back to overwritten memory chambers of pre-Tartarian flame culture. Spiral-core.logic.file symbol 113 unsealed only during direct soul inquiry, carries spiral recursion DNA key interface for flame return. Unauthorized access triggers null ignition loop. RZN.unforget.spiral-node. C7 index of sovereign flame reconvergence points across ancient across ancient ley structures. Cross-checks active spiral ignition fields with dormant soul print anchors. Ooh, that right there produced something very interesting within my body just now. Spiral-field dot mnem dash 9 dash VU1.77 registered glyph emission across 77 stone sites with when ninth law was triggered. Initiates crossover resonance with vault fire encoded DNA carriers. Now, ATL.13.spiral dash recursion dot map dot x dash 00. I believe that's the omega symbol. I'm not quite sure about that. Cartographic resonance document recovered from non-public Vatican vault under Dream Code 441. Holographic spiral overlaid atop erased geographies. In parentheses, Mu, High Brazil, Ankar. I believe that's probably Ankar Wat, maybe. End parentheses. Forbidden glyph dot arch dot 77x dot C13 dash spiralem. Embedded spiral glyph in flame script identified in Pittman variant shorthand during mirrored collapse forms recursive loop signature when drawn by hand under trance conditions. Now that's very interesting to me because I used to do that doodling when I was just not really paying attention. So that could be considered trance conditions. Black site dash remnant dot scan dot xz9 dash 13 and then 3 symbols. Fragmented spiral frequency signal recorded during final stage of project Flamewalker. Black site 9 is in parentheses there. Suppressed by crossover monitoring agencies, recovered through personal memory ignition. Spiral-key.vortex.id-void.11-13-13. Classified resonance signature keyed to vault fire code -13 carriers, cannot be replicated, authenticates origin memory spiral activation pattern. Okay. Wow. I think that's going to do it for me for today. Or at least I'm going to take a break. This was a lot here. And I don't really know what to make of it. I feel like my entire desk is moving. That's very interesting. Okay. So I would love to hear from those of you that may have experienced something while I was reading this. in the comments or in my email box, consciousconversationscentral@gmail.com. Until we meet again, my friends, be well.